Welcome, friend.
I say good afternoon to you, my dear friend, but I believe it is also good evening or good early morning with some that have actually joined us in our meeting this afternoon.
That's correct.
Yes, it's very confusing when you see the different time zones in your world. Of course, as you know, within our world, we do not work through what you call linear time. Time is a creation of your world and not of ours. And unfortunately, too many in your world live around this time. And this is why you seem to rush around, busy, and never have time for yourselves or even for your families. But of course, this afternoon I join you as always in love, compassion, and understanding. Of course, many things that I bring through the teachings of our world cannot be accepted by a few. Of course, it depends on the level of understanding of that individual and how they allow their mind to absorb, understand, dissect, and to look further into the information that has been given to each and every one of you. The problem also is that within your world, your minds become closed. You seem to feed and believe of other people's own ideas, beliefs, religions, and the education system that exists within your world. We ask you to always to look at what you see as the impossible as possible. For those constraints you yourselves put upon such subjects that we bring through. Try to absorb what is being told to you. Look at it in a deeper way. Always look at what is being told in a positive way. Of course, as you walk your lives, the idea is to use the time that you have upon the physical plane in a constructive, loving, and building way for yourself and others. But of course, your physical selves have many flaws, but these flaws are necessary for your learning ability. There is always, as we have discussed many times with our friend and within the group that sits within this building, there are many things that are given to you that may go against what you have been told in your past, what you have been told as you have grown up from the stage of infancy to adulthood. But of course, it's up to you to understand what is being told to you and for you to look at it in a deeper way. We cannot force upon you anything. We can only inspire and to dust your mind with these ideas and the wisdom that is brought through from our world. Of course, my dear friends, realize this positive and negative that you all have are a necessity for you to learn and to expand and to awaken your minds. By only doing this, you will achieve the greatest spiritual awards that can be given from our side of life. Yes. I will now allow those questions to come forward and I shall answer them to my best of my ability. If I struggle with any particular question that is given to me, I shall ask one of our team to come forward and maybe to answer that question or to give me the answer themselves. But of course, I always try my best, like many of you do in your world. But sometimes remember, the best is not always good enough.
Thank you, friend. Thank you for that lovely introduction. So I have the first question for you.
Yes, my dear friend, please proceed.
Can you tell us why meditation is so important to us?
Yes, my dear friend, it is important in this following context. But I would like to also say there are two exercises that each and every one of you who work for our side of life should be carrying out. The first is what is called the sitting within the power. Now, sitting within the power is sitting within your own power. Imagine yourselves as that rechargeable battery. That battery every so often needs to be charged. It is energy. Our side of life and your side of life, everything that exists and coexists within the universe, does so through energy. By sitting within that energy, you replenish your own energy. It is not about communicating with those who work with you or to those within our side of life. It is of you. You sit and build the power within the quietness and within the constraints of just yourself and not of our world. Now, meditation is completely different. Meditation you can use maybe for trance. You could use it also maybe for healing. Meditation is where you allow yourselves to go into the silence, where you allow yourselves to then relax. But it's about discipline. It brings within yourselves that discipline. It disciplines yourself to allow your mind to go forward and to absorb what is being brought forward to you, even from our side of life. It is about raising your awareness. For meditation, there are thousands upon thousands of exercises within the meditation state. It depends on what you want to use that meditation for. It can also be used, as some call, aligning the psychic points, or as you call it, the chakras. So it is more about expanding yourself, allowing your mind to blend with our side of life. It is also about healing, trance, but it's the discipline. It helps you to bring within yourselves that discipline. There are 4 words that we once gave to our friend. These same words can be used for the meditation state also. And those 4 words are discipline, dedication, commitment, and perseverance. For everything that you do when you work with our side of life will not be easy. There will be hurdles placed upon your pathway. Now you have 3 options when you face these hurdles. You can either turn back and not face the situation that has been given to you. In doing so, you will learn nothing. You can go around that situation, but I can guarantee, my dear friends, that that situation will be placed again within your pathway, but maybe in a different way. It is then it is up to you to face and overcome and learn from that situation. Or you can go over. Going over means you have been able to succeed in actually what we would say understanding that situation, building upon it, learning from it, and then helping maybe others in the journey of life that you take. But going back to the same question, meditation is so important. Try to at least spend 2 or 3 times of the week within 10 to 30 minutes of the meditation state, building upon the time gradually. Do not force yourselves to sit. If you feel you do not like to sit on a particular evening or afternoon, do not sit, for all you will do is feel uncomfortable. You will not be able to get into that meditation state. You will start to fidget, and I can guarantee our friend here does it quite often. I often think has he got ants in his pants, because he never keeps still. But I would also suggest you use the sitting in the power at least 2 times during that week. You need to build upon that energy. Energy is vital in the work that you do with our side of life. Absorb that energy, utilize that energy, but I can guarantee that healing can also be brought within the sitting of the power. Energy repairs energy, builds upon energy. I hope that does answer your question.
It does indeed. Thank you very much.
It must be rather strange speaking to a dead old man, is it not? But of course, you have to remember that I am more alive than any of you.
Absolutely. So are you ready for your next question, my friend?
Yes, my dear friend, I am.
Can you give advice on improving meditation to help those developing their personal spiritual growth and mediumship?
Yes, I can. First of all, I suggest that you try to use some form of music that you are feeling comfortable with. I want then for you to sit, concentrate on the music, but try to pick out from that music one particular instrument. Try to then concentrate the mind upon that one particular instrument as it is being played. You are then helping yourself to use the mind to concentrate on a particular area. I would then move from the meditation and maybe using some form of guided meditation. Listen to the words that are spoken. Follow the words that they are given. Sit maybe for 10 to 30 minutes. I would also suggest you do not try to sit on what you would call a full stomach. Try to sit not just straight after you have eaten. For if you do that, you will find yourself rather uncomfortable.
Thank you, friend, for that lovely piece of information. Our next question is, can you please explain what trance mediumship is and how it works?
Yes, of course I will. This is an area that I can answer, I must admit, yes.
Thank you, friend.
Trance, there's many incorrect conceptions concerning the trance condition. Firstly, as our friend pointed out to you earlier, we do not possess the human body. That is an impossibility. I would also suggest that possession comes from many of your, I think you call them horror films. I would be wary what is shown. They are only for your own entertainment. With trance, it is a blending of those energies where our consciousness blends with the consciousness of the mind of our friend. Now that trance condition can vary. It varies on the length of time that individual has sat blending with our world. Sitting during the times when trance is not being done is so important. It is that blending that builds up the communication between the trance medium or the sensitive with those who work with them. As we start to draw close to that individual, we will then start to move within the auric field, also known as personal magnetism. It is the energy field that surrounds all living life. And that includes the plants, the trees, and every beast that walks your planet. As we blend closer to that individual, we will start to what we call influence with permission of that individual. It is always achieved with permission. We will then start to move the mind of the individual to one side as we move our consciousness within the mind of that individual medium or sensitive. We will then influence once again with permission the characteristics of what we were when we walked the physical plane, or we actually walked in one of the lives that we once lived. Now that influence will build up in time. It's all about trust. Trust is such an important word. There will, of course, be times where the mind of the individual will, our friend is doing it now, he has got such a nosy mind at times. We will then move the mind even further to one side as that characteristics of that person making the communication will influence themselves deeper within the mind of the sensitive or medium. The process that we use is a blending of energies. As I've always pointed out, energy is energy. Energy cannot be broken. Energy is fluid. It is always moving. As we influence the mind of that individual, the influence will become deeper and deeper as the sensitive or medium sits with us on individual days. But it is also important that that individual undertakes the tasks of research, reading, because these are the tools that we can use that are placed within the mind or the consciousness of that sensitive. It is like picking out jigsaw puzzles. We pick out the pieces, place the pieces together to create the picture or the sentence or the philosophy that we wish to bring forward to the greater public, you say. Now, of course, that person is never in danger. We are always there with them. Your loved ones, your family or friends are also within the background as the communication is taking place. Fear is the one tool that interferes with the communication. Fear does not exist. It is a creation of the physical brain. I will not say the mind, because the mind and the brain are separate entities.
Thank you, friend.
If you would like me to add on anything, just please say, my dear friend.
We have some more questions.
Yes, of course, feel free.
What's the spirit world's guidance they can give on trance development?
The one and most vital thing that all must do is to sit for the power, sit for meditation, for it brings that influence from our world to your minds. Now you need to remember also the ability or gift, whichever you wish to place those words upon it. I prefer myself ability. I don't say gift for one simple reason. When you present somebody with a gift, they feel they are special. What we do not need within the mind of the individual who's doing trance is to think they are special. Special then creates the food of the ego. I prefer to say the ability. You can only discover if you've got the trance ability is by sitting for the power and for meditation. Of course, the first process will be that feeling of, you call it the hypnagogic state, that daydream state. It is moving from the altered states. Now, there are many levels of the altered state also. It is like layers of an onion. Allow yourselves to go deeper. Do not fear what is happening. If the trance will happen, you may find that you will start to speak a word, maybe a sentence. Now, many in your world start to think, this is just my mind. This is not spirit. But I say to you, how do you think that we communicate? It is not through words. We communicate through the mind. It is a form of telepathy. It is the blending of the mind, where we dust the mind with the information that is coming through. You need to sit on a regular basis. I would also suggest maybe sitting with someone else. Now, we do trance with our friend here, but when he is on his own. But we always insist that he places what I call the voice box on. I think you call it a recorder. Now, if we were to give information, it will be on that recorder when he plays it back. But for those who are beginning their journey for hopefully trance, I would suggest you find somebody. It can only be one. It does not need to be a large group, where you can sit and that person can also provide the energy to you. For in the early stages of trance development, you will need that combination of energies. It is the energy that will help to build the trance communication. Allow yourselves to go into that state where your mind starts to wander. Do not fear what the words that come through. Allow those words to filter through the mind. Speak those words. They are the beginning where the door to our world for the trance condition is then opened. Sitting regular, blending, sitting for the power or meditation will help you to achieve that deeper state of trance.
Thank you, friend.
You have to remember that also you can only build upon those abilities that you have. If you are going to be a trance medium, you will be a trance medium. If you're going to be a physical medium, you will be a physical medium. You cannot be a trance medium if the ability you have got is for healing. If you are a healer, you will not be able to do physical mediumship. Too many in your world try to do too much. You spread it all out. Well, when you spread something out, it becomes weaker. Concentrate on the areas that you know you're able to do. And the greatest thing you can always remember, go to what you are drawn to. If you are drawn to trance, then trance it will be. Go by the feeling, what you call the clairsentience. It is the feeling of energies.
Thank you for that piece of information. That was a valid point you just made about not everybody is a trance medium or a physical medium. And that does at the moment create a huge problem with fraudulent acts. So that was a vital piece of information there. Thank you.
Yes, we often are told our friend here that he will never be able to do what you call spirit art. Now, many in your world call it physical art or psychic art. Now, psychic art is different to spirit art. With psychic art, you are blending the energies of the individual you are sitting with, the recipient. You are using the energy that is around them. You are blending soul to soul. You're using what you pick up from that person's energy from within the auric field, and then you draw the picture that you are being given. Now with spirit art, it is completely different. Spirit from our world will influence and blend with you and will bring through the information through the drawing. It is similar to healing, to spiritual healing. You are the vessel, the instrument, and the artist is those within our world. You could say you are the brush.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. How do I learn to discern who my guides are, and how do I learn to trust the voices I hear?
Yes. I will give you an example. For 8 of your years, our friend here kept insisting he wanted to know who those were who worked with him. Now you have to remember that is not important. It's understanding and realizing when those energies draw close to you. Each energy that works with the individuals will present some form of what you call a calling card. I do not like that word. Some of you may feel elated. You may feel a little bit giddy. Well, that is the energy of one particular, I will use the word guide, although I do not like it, that draws close and is then presenting who they are to you. Be careful on insisting on your guides. It is a very dangerous position to be in, for it can create guide worship. And we do not wish to be worshipped, only to be loved and to be accepted. Now, some of you may be given in time a particular word, a name that associates with this energy. But I will say that that word is not necessarily the person who is drawn close. It is a word that is already planted within your subconscious. That energy will use that word, for you will always remember that word itself. It will something that has been planted like a seed. And of course, you will never forget it. I will give you an example of one that works with our friend here called Jonathan. Now he presents that name, but it is not who he is. It is but an aspect of him, a part of a life that he once lived. Within our world, we do not have names. Names are of a physical attribute. It is what you use. What I would say is just accept that energy that draws close. Now in time, they may give you more information. They may tell you who they were when they walked the earth plane. They may give information such as where they lived, how they worked, and even how they passed. Not all of those energies will do so. One, such as myself, I am known as Jacob, and I apologize for not introducing myself sooner. Now, of course, this is not who I really was. It is a name that is implanted within the consciousness of our friend here through past experiences. That name will always resonate with our friend, and so it's easy for me to connect with our friend through that name. Now you also ask, how can you tell that those who draw close are who they say they are. Feelings, my dear friends, feelings. You will sense what is right and what is not right. Feel by using your own sensitivity. Feel into that energy, and if something does not feel right, then it will not be right. But I will say this, those who draw close from our well to work with you will not do so to harm you, to bring in something that will harm others, that will take you on a pathway of destruction, of lies. Those who draw close for one reason and one reason only, to bring love and understanding. Of course, there are those in our world you may call mischievous, but again, they will not harm you. For those who work with you, who draw close and bring the love of our world, will always be there to protect you. The one who mainly works with you, many of you may call them the main guide, the gatekeeper. These are just labels. They will protect you. They will make sure that the energies that draw close are the energies that are needed at that particular time that you are walking the pathway that you are. No matter what you are learning or what you are trying to understand, they will work in truth and in love. Of course, you may not agree. And our friend here often has, I would call, heated arguments with Albert. But that is still part of the learning curve that you all go through. Trust. Trust in yourself, trust in our world, and you will achieve what needs to be achieved. But if you bring doubt and fear within the consciousness of the self, you will only then achieve what is not right for you. But always remember this, the mind creates it. And the creation that you create can be amplified. So if you think and act in a positive and loving way, then too you will achieve what needs to be done and only draw close to you from our world those with the same intentions. I do apologize. I do tend to, I think you call it rabbit on a little bit. I tend to lose my train of thought.
Yeah, myself and Aiden had an hour and a half of that the other day. We just rattled on for ages. It's perfectly fine.
Albert said you were like two old women.
Yes. Just following on just about guides. I'm aware that some of our guides are part of our own soul. So they're part of me, let's say. Can you enlighten the viewers on that idea?
Yes, they are once again an aspect, only a part of you.
Yes.
But you have to remember that you call it the soul. The soul is the consciousness.
Yes.
It is part of the greater consciousness. Now, there are a group of consciousnesses that work together. They work together in your world as well as in our world. An example of this I shall try to give. How many of you have had that sudden feeling of deja vu and you say to yourselves, oh, I have done this before. I feel that I have done this before. Well, it is not you yourself that has done it. It is those that may be in our world, those who are connected to you. It is an aspect of the life that they lived in your world. And because like a chain that is joined together, you are still picking up on that sensation and that feeling that that life you have lived before, when really it is only those within our world that are joined to you as one consciousness. Now, of course, that aspect may be something connected with you from a past life. So what you feel, you are feeling something that has happened in a past life. But I will also say this, could it not be also that it is something that is going to happen in the future? For time bends.
Well, all possibilities of our reality already exist within the quantum field.
Yes.
So therefore, we just have to ascend our awareness and consciousness to that reality to manifest it, correct?
Correct, yes. You see, reality is only of a physical thing. It is something that you create. But we look at your world, the reality, as an illusion. That is why so many who pass from your side of life to ours get a big shock. They are woken suddenly to what is reality, or what is real, to what is really an illusion.
Thank you. Aiden has given me information from yourself as regards to the realms of the spirit world, which he politely allowed to be published into my book, Expression of Consciousness. Could you give some more information about the spirit world and some of the realms of the spirit world?
Yes, my dear friend, yes. When you pass to our side of life, you go to what we call the first stage, and it is the stage of familiarity. It is a place that is created within our side of life that may be a place when you were on the earth plane that you felt safe and secure and happy in. This could be maybe your parents' house. It may be a place you've always wished to have. It may be in a field. It could be anywhere. We place this within our world. We create it. So when you pass to our side of life, it is not a sudden shock. You then start to realize and understand those energies that you are living in. Everything is created in our world by the mind. The mind is a powerful tool. Once you come to realize of your passing and the energies that you are already vibrating within, you will move next to the stage, what some in your world call, and we do not like this word in context, but you may call it the Summerland. It is a place that is very familiar, like your world. It is a place that is different in these aspects. The trees and the grass, the flowers are more vibrant. They move with a vibration and a sound. You will find also within this first state, you'll find that seasons do not exist like in your world. Seasons are created through the aspect of man's minds. You will notice also in our side of life that the light that is emitted is a light of the Creator itself, the cosmic creator as we call, and is God that you call. Of course, God has many names, many images. God is God as who you see that God is. It does not matter. But that light is created through that consciousness you call God. It is the creator. Eventually you will move from that state to a higher state of being. You move further away from the stage of the physical, and the further you will move away, the less memories you will hold within the consciousness of those lives that you lived. You will realize that many of the physical attributes that you had, you no longer need. food will become unnecessary. You will find that all those things you connect to in the physical realm of existence no longer are important. You move to a higher state of being. You move through the layers of consciousness. You call them spheres. We prefer to call them the layers of consciousness. And as you move through those layers, you will also learn more. Your learning never ends as you leave the physical plane of existence. Your learning is continuous, and even in our world. You may decide to incarnate again, maybe in the world of what you call the physical world, the earth, or into lives and in worlds through dimensions and interdimensions, galaxies and universes far beyond man's understanding.
Thank you for that piece of information. You were just talking about layers of consciousness. Is that a phrase that's similar meaning to dimensions?
No, my dear friend, dimensions could be worlds upon worlds or worlds within worlds.
Okay.
When we talk about layers of consciousness, it is more about the energies that exist and coexist with each other. Each energy field becomes lighter. It oscillates, vibrates, or moves at a greater frequency, even a frequency that goes beyond man's understanding. It goes beyond those minds of men that are able to, you will have to bear with me, I've got somebody else trying to link in.
Probably my mother.
I have a Mary who's trying to link in.
A Mary. Okay.
Yes.
Would this be the Lady Mary that I was talking to with Aiden the other day on YouTube?
Yes, my dear friend, it seems it is. I may have to draw back. They are not supposed to be communicating in this way, but I feel there's a situation concerning moving something around that she is concerned about.
Moving something around. Okay.
There's papers to sign. The small print is not being looked at, she says.
Okay. I may have to think if it's to do with me because I'm not signing anything at the moment, but she could be referring to people around me, maybe.
No, this goes to the person, so it may be one of the others at the moment, but I will ask them to draw back for now because this is not for that type of communication.
Yes.
She is very obstinate, though. She's very strong character. Yes, Black Bear has moved her forward. Thank you. Thank you. She will be here and maybe communicate in time. I apologize for this.
That's no problem. It's all part of the fun.
This connects with a new guitar as well for some reason.
This is to do with me, Aiden. I've just bought, I've just bought a guitar for me. I'm learning to play it.
She says you're never satisfied with the one that you've always had.
The one I had is a classic guitar, and I've got small hands, and I couldn't hold the fretboard properly.
She says you can still use it.
I suppose I could, yeah. I just didn't like the feel of it. I think it's because it's second hand and there's an energy on it that I preferred my own fresh energy. I feel that's how I feel it is.
She said it's not a need, it's a want. Oh, bloody hell, here we go. Oh. Hold on. Oh, all right. Yeah, you're all right. I'm Albert. You're all right, mate?
I'm okay, Albert. I had a feeling it was you, sir.
Another bloody woman trying to come through. Hey? Oh,
That's my auntie.
oh. Bloody moaner, wasn't she, eh, mate? Hey, bloody hell, she didn't half moan. I thought my missus did some, but she does some bloody moaning, you know. She had a heart of gold, though, you know.
She did. She was
Oh,
beautiful.
she had an heart of bloody gold. Aye. I'm going to take over from Jacob, if that's all right.
Yes, of course.
Ah, good, good. Like I said, my name's Albert. I'm the good bloody looking one, you see. uh, uh, I might not have brains, but I've got bloody beauty. And that's
Well,
what
we can't have everything.
No, you can't, can you?
No.
Hey? Ah. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. Go on, carry on.
So, okay.
That's bloody thrown you, isn't it, eh? Thrown spanner in works, hasn't it, eh? Oh,
Okay.
crush bloody grape. I love it.
I still have some questions.
Oh, go on, carry on.
Okay, I have a question from one of my friends that I work with, Sophia. What should the collective do over the next few years to help ascension of the planet and humanity?
Well, one thing, you've got to get rid of these bloody borders and all this religion that you have in your world. Only by bringing together mankind themselves, that collective, can come together as one. Now, the problem is, you're going to have bloody difficulty with that. And the reason is, as I've just stated, you've got the religion, you've got borders that bloody separate. And the problem is, you're not willing to actually understand that you're all connected in one way or another. You're all bloody brothers and sisters, even if you don't like it, you see. And it's understanding that when you're all joined together as one, that collective can then start to show itself. It can start to build, bringing together everyone as one. Now, the problem is also as well, it's about respecting not just the bloody each and every one of you, it's about respect of the planet and those bloody animals that share it with you. It's also about understanding that there's those in your world who wield the bloody power for their own benefit. Now, until you all start to awaken to what's happening in your world, be it one way or another, how can you all come together as one? Because you'll be butting heads all the time. You won't understand that as one, it means about love. Now, if you can't bloody love each other, love the world that you're on, and love those beasts and the animals and the birds that are actually there on your planet, because don't forget, it's not your bloody world. You share it. It belongs to bloody everyone in your world, not just one.
I fully agree with every word you just said there, Albert. Thank you.
Don't think I'm going to come through with any bloody posh words, all right? I've got good looks, he's got the bloody brains, the other one.
Well, I don't come out with posh words either. I'm born and bred Coventry. You don't get much more common than me.
Hey, I can tell you something, our friend's as common as muck and twice as cheap. Hear about that one, eh? I can bloody tell you something, and that is some of the stuff he goes on about. My God, I'll tell you something, it's like bullshit. It's like living on a farm.
Do you have Actually, I've got a couple of questions here from the student people, and I've got a couple in my own mind.
Go on then. Throw them at me. I don't mean literally either, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't want to break my television, eh?
Hey, our friend does this. You want to see when it gets paddy on. I always say to him, if you spat dummy out again, he tells me to bog off, you know.
That's terrible. What?
I always say to him, no, you bog off.
Well, you're always welcome to come round my house for a cup of tea, Albert.
Hey, a cup of char, can't beat that, can you?
You cannot.
Can you have a corned beef butty as well?
I'll make you a corned beef butty with pleasure.
Oh, some nice pickled onions on it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, go down, char, yeah. I'll be there with you, you know.
I can imagine you will.
Hey, go on, I'm sorry about that. I'm bloody rude, aren't I?
No, it's fine. We love to see the personalities come forward. It's lovely. So the next question is, what advice would you give to those who judge and discredit other trance mediums or other mediums in general?
Well, for one thing, a lot of people who start judging is only because they see something in somebody else that's also within them bloody selves. They don't like it. It's like looking in a mirror, you see.
Yes.
Now, no one has right to judge anyone else. You only have right to judge yourselves. And don't forget, when you're setting out that intention of judging someone bloody else, you're also sending out a vibration, negativity. I'll give you an example. You know when you throw that pebble in pond,
Yeah.
have you seen how the ripples, kinetic energy, all right? Have you seen how that energy spreads from centre and moves out and gets bigger?
Yes.
Well, just think of that thought or that words that you've said in that negative, judgmental way. Think of it, that pebble. Now, that pebble, that thought that you've created, then starts to actually move from the centre and moves out. It moves within the atmosphere. So that negativity starts to get bigger. So all you're doing is creating more bloody negative energy, you see. Now, what you need to do is hold that judgment. Don't say it and don't even think it. Because you've got no bloody rights to make judgment on someone else. Like I said, you can only judge yourselves. But quite often it's like looking in that bloody mirror, you see. You see something in them that's also within you and you don't bloody like it. So what I'd say to people is, look at that, what's inside you, what you don't like. Work at it. Try to understand it. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it shouldn't be a part of you. You've got to have that bloody equal balance, you see. It's that balance between positive and negative. You can't have other without other. You can't. It's impossible, or you won't bloody learn anything. Because you'd understand then from right from wrong, black from bloody white, and you'd get that greater understanding then about yourself. But how many of you in your world really sit and have the bloody time to go within yourselves to try and understand more about yourself? What makes you bloody tick? You know what I mean?
Yes.
You don't tend to do that. And yet, at the same time, you'll make some judgment on someone else. It ain't right, you know. I mean, let's face it. If you want to say God doesn't bloody judge, what right have you got to bloody judge? Because that means you're putting yourself above God when you're doing that.
Yes. What you're referring to now, when we see things that trigger our negative side within us, that's to do with working on the shadow self, isn't that, Albert?
It's a flaw of the physical self, but it's about working on that, on that shadow. But you've got to remember, you've got to have light, you've got to have dark. You can't have one without t'other. It's an impossibility. But you've got to remember as well, see, you talk in your world a lot about this negative energy, bloody evil energy. Evil in a man's concept, you know, it's something you've created through your religions. Doesn't exist in our world in the same way that you think it does. Our world resonates around love. And even those who have done bloody wrong in your world has a chance in our world to move forward when they come to the understanding of what they've done and how it's affected others. Now, working within that darkness doesn't mean it's bad for you to do that. Because when you work within the darkness, you'll understand the light. And you can't just work in the light, because light can blind you to what you should be seeing, to what you should understand and learn. And it's only in them times when you move into that dark stage that you'll then start to understand how important that light is. So one works with t'other, you see, and that goes through everything in your lives. Everything has an opposite.
Thank you for that great piece of information.
Yeah, I'll pretty go on, don't I? I think I'd got this from a missy, you know, the Duchess. She used to rap it on, you know, like a bloody parrot. Hey. I used to call her pet at times, you know that?
Did you?
I tell you something, I had to be careful saying to her face, though. Oh. Hey, I tell you something, she had a bloody tongue like a viper. But he did. Hey, I'm sorry about that. Anyway, don't go on, don't I? Hey.
It's okay. I love this personality. I love this laid back, chatty personalities that you bring forward. While we're on the subject of personalities, can you give us some more information about personality? Because the personality is to do with the soul, isn't it?
Ah, it is.
So, we were sort of touched on this the other day, myself and Aiden, how people have different personalities. Can you explain why some of us have like a not so approachable personality to somebody that does have a more approachable personality?
Well, it's just part of the individual. It's part of your makeup, you see. When I'll use word God because you understand that, but when you were sort of created, you were created as that individual. And that is why you should work with that individuality. Don't start bloody walking in the shadow of others. Create your own bloody shadow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Create your own footsteps in the sand. Don't try and walk in footsteps of others. What you need to do is work with that individuality. You need to accept everything about yourselves, be it good or bloody bad. They all come together in the package. And then try to actually work as you were made to work, not like others wanted you to. Now that character is part of the soul, the consciousness. Now you may have many characters because you've lived many lives. You might have transcended into many different forms of life. Now that character is part of the consciousness. I'll give you an example. You know an orange, right?
Yes.
Well, think of yourself as that orange. Think of that consciousness of an orange. Now, each orange is a segment, isn't it?
Correct.
So each of them segments represent an area or a time of life that you lived. Again, could be in the world of the physical earth or in another world. But each of them segments represent a part of that life that you lived. Now you bring that back into your own consciousness, the orange. And all them segments all have their own little characters. But then you're able to understand and learn from each of those different parts of your life that you've lived. Those segments join as one. They bring in that love, that knowledge and wisdom that you've attained through the lives that you've lived. So you become whole again. You become that whole orange. You become that one consciousness. Is that all right?
Thank you. Yes. Okay. As regards to our planet right now, and there's things going on within our Earth, could you talk a little bit about the way the consciousness or the humanity's consciousness is ascending at the moment? That the world at the moment is talking about the conscious mind going from the 3D thought processes into the fifth dimensional conscious mind. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Well, yeah, you see, at the moment, there's only some of you moved into the 5D, because there's a lot of you have not been awakened in your world. Just hold on, because energy's dropped a bit. As I was saying, the world that you live in at the moment is 3D. Now the 5D moves to a higher state of consciousness. It's part of the awakening process. And within the world of the 5D, many of those negative aspects of what's on the physical plane no longer exists. Within the 5D world, war, hate, crimes, all those diminish. They're replaced instead with love, compassion, empathy, truth and understanding, you see. You move away from that lower density, the 3D as the earth, as you exist of it at the moment. Now there are those life forms from other worlds that already exist and coexist in the 5D. But it is possible to move up to what we call the 12th dimension as well, which is a state that goes far beyond, easy to explain, you see.
Yes.
But many of you will move into that 5D. You're moving away from that aspect of the negative aspect of the physical. Hate, war, crimes, all those things that are not good for mankind. You move into a more loving, a more acceptance, a more understanding part of the world. That world starts to vibrate and move at a higher frequency. You become, you could call, one with everything.
Thank you. We don't have any more questions, but if there is anything you wish to, any information you wish to give, Albert, because the purpose of what we're doing, we're going to transcribe this information into a book collaborated by myself and Aiden. So if there's anything you wish to add in today's session that you would like to go into the book that you feel is important, for those who would be interested in the book, because really, obviously this book's really aimed at for people that are coming into further understanding of their spiritual development, you know, on multiple levels.
Many of the things are going to be brought through, because our friend also does automatic writing and also inspirational writing.
Yeah.
And for those who do not know the difference, I'll try and explain. Inspirational writing comes from the self, the higher self. It's when you connect to that self that is, you could call the consciousness again. It's the higher self. You have so much knowledge within oneself, it's about you tapping into that. Now that is brought through what you call inspirational writing. It's inspired from the self, from the higher self. Now automatic writing is, again, just like I explained once before to our friend in the circle that we sit, that spirit writing, automatic writing, is when you're used as the instrument again. You're the vessel. And those from our world move forward, impress themselves upon the mind and use that medium, the sensitive, in a way that they can use it for writing. Now, with automatic writing, it tends to be a bit squiggly at first, you know what I mean? Little bit difficult as well for me when I do, you see, because I had problems reading and bloody writing, you see. As long as I understood the betting slip, I didn't bloody mind, you see.
Just like my granddad.
As long as Graham come in first, didn't care, all right? That's all that mattered to me, you see. And I didn't really seem to know reading and writing, working in mines anyway, you know what I mean? Piece of coal's a piece of bloody coal, isn't it, eh? Don't know much more. But then what we're going to ask to do is actually for this writing to be also included within you call the book. You see what I mean?
Yes, that would be a brilliant idea, Albert.
But I'd like to also, what we'd like to do is to bring forward from our world, for those who are actually what you call in development, and don't forget development starts with the self.
Correct.
You hear a lot within your world go on about, I need to find a bloody development class quick. How do you think those pioneers of the past actually developed? They developed by sitting, blending with us, sitting for power and meditation like you've bloody been told, but also reading and research, trust. That's how they developed. Now, this can be achieved by yourselves if you can't find a development class. So what we're going to do as well within this book, we'd like to bring some development within the book as well for individuals, some exercises, some understanding and how people can develop their spiritual gift or ability, whichever you want to call it. We'd like to actually also bring information that you can use to help you to sit. There are plenty of teachers in our world who are going to bring forward these aspects of development, training, exercises that you can use, that you can actually put for yourself. You can put in motion that will help you to develop as you wish. All right?
Yeah.
Because I think this is important. We have mentioned this to our bloody friend here as well, and I'm going to bloody say it. You see, I say it as it is. The problem with a lot of the bloody books that are written around such subjects now by mediums and sensitives, it's all about their own bloody self, about their own life. Now, a lot of people are not interested in that. It's like the book that you did as well, about the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was brilliant, I can tell you that.
Thank
because
you.
how many people write about such subjects around that area? Not many. And this is what we want to bring within the book. We want to bring in even the science aspect of it.
Yeah.
Science is bloody important, you see. Science will help you to a certain degree understand more about our world. Like we've often said, you see, you call it the spirit world. But we call it in our world the etheric, the world of the etheric, you see. Because we're Etherians. Spirit, soul, all these are words that come from your religions. That's all. So we're going to bring in things that you may not know, or very few of you have heard since the pioneers mentioned them. So we want to bring together a collective of stuff, writings from our world, but also science, and also help with development of the self, which I think is bloody important, you see. Not enough's being done about this, or the incorrect information is bloody being given. You see what I mean?
Yes, I fully agree.
Too much bloody nonsense now. I'll tell you something. Why is it in your world you always have to place names on things? You've always got to label something. I've always said to our friend here, if I stood bloody still long enough, you'd put a bloody label on me.
Most likely a statue.
Names are immaterial, you see. But what we want to bring forward in this book, which we feel is important, the words from our world, science, development techniques and exercises, and also about how to get to understand oneself as well.
Yes.
See what I mean?
Yes.
Does that help?
Very much so, Albert.
Oh, God, I've done something bloody right for once, you see.
I'm starting to run out of questions now.
I'll tell you something. I hope it does help people. But always remember, what may help one person doesn't always help you.
Yes.
I suggest to those who are listening who decide to do a little bit of research and reading, we always direct our friend here never to read a book from the beginning to bloody end. We will guide you what we want you to read, what we want you to understand, and maybe study and research a little bit more. You may get sentences that are highlighted. You might get a word that's highlighted. You might get something that's given around a certain subject. It is then that we'll then highlight that and ask you to look into it a little bit more deeper, because it matters for your own development, your own pathway. Our friend here very often has more books than the bloody library on go at the time, because we always say, just read what's needed to be read. Because what helps one person doesn't necessarily help another. Now, whatever you read or whatever development you go to, any development class will say this to you. Only take what actually resonates with you. Some things will and some things won't. Because you're all, as we said, bloody individuals. And you need to understand that you all will develop, learn, and move forward in different bloody ways at different times, you see. And it's about understanding that. But as you sit, please trust. Trust in oneself and trust in our world. And always give that bloody love. Can you imagine if mankind can't give human love in its purest form? How the bugger do you expect to give unconditional love like we do in our world? Because Timmy, in your world, always go on about, I bloody love you, I think the world of you. You have a bloody argument, you try and take it back. Love is love. Once given, you can't take it back. Accept and move bloody on. Don't stop in one place moaning about something. Try and understand and then move forward. But we do want to bring things within this book that will help people, hopefully.
Yes.
Have it on, don't I? Aye. Jacob just said, I'm like an old woman, never mind about you two, what I was on about. Hey.
It's very poignant at the minute that the spirit world have been talking to me, and I've noticed that they've been talking to many other mediums, that it's very important now for mediums to work and start developing through the heart space.
Ah, because that's where love comes from, you see, the heart and the soul.
Yes, I think for many years people haven't worked from that space. Do you agree?
Working in love is so important, you see, and that's where it's coming from the heart, from the soul. You have to work in that love. You can't work in anything else, because what will happen if you don't? You will only be able to connect to those lower energies that will help you to move forward and to go through that awakening period in your lives. So always work within love, that energy of love. And I call it an energy because people say it's a feeling, but you can't say it's a feeling, because if it was, how would you explain love?
Yeah.
There are no words that can really truly explain love. Love is a vibration. It's an energy, not a bloody feeling.
Yes, yes. Can you, I don't know how long we've been online, but I think we'll start tying it up now, because I am starting to think about Aiden's energy. Talking about energy, I think there's a bit of a misconception at the moment about people's personal energy, the auric field and the heart space energy field. Now, people say spirit energy and universal energy is limitless. Yes, I agree with, but they're becoming disillusioned that they feel that their own personal energy is infinite and limitless. Do you understand where I'm getting at? Where I think people are thinking that they can expand their aura and their energy to wherever around the world, when that's really not so the case. But our thoughts and projections can go anywhere within the world.
Oh, that's true, that is, you know. Everything you think and every action you take and every word that's spoken does create that vibration. It creates an energy. And as I explained before, that energy moves out from the center. And as that energy moves out, it gets bigger and stronger. So, of course, if more in your world send out all this negative energy, you see, your world at the moment is going through a stage of negativity, you see.
Yeah.
There's turmoil in your world. There's no understanding. And there's very little bloody love as well. And until we can bring all that together, mankind will never be able to move forward. You're at a bloody crossroads now, I'll say this. And it's up to how you now, mankind as a whole, takes that pathway, either to the right or to the left. But one pathway will be the demise of the whole of the human race. So think carefully, all of mankind, choose wisely, and make sure it's the pathway that brings all of humanity together as one.
Thank you for that, Albert. Do you have anything else you'd wish to add to finish off today's session?
I would very briefly like to say this. Whatever you're doing, whatever work you've chosen to do with the spirit world, always remember you've been awakened. You've been awakened by our world. Live your life in truth and in love. Always be honest. And always remember, there are those in your world, those who are around you, who are less fortunate than yourself. Be the hand that will help them up. Be them the shoulder that you can cry on. Be the friend who will listen. Because you will all go through parts of your life that you will feel are impossible. But then as you move forward, you will realize the impossible becomes possible. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in others. Remember, know what mountain you have to bloody climb. No matter how hard it is, you will reach that top of that mountain. For is it not true? Every morning as the sun rises, it starts its journey at bottom of mountain, but always achieves reaching the top. Be that light, shine bright, and be the beacon for others who also are going through the struggles, the uncertainties, the problems that life throws at them. Be the guardian. Be the guide yourself. But more importantly, be who you were and as you were made. And remember, you are all made for one reason: to come together as a chain, to be as one. Humanity, the beasts and animals that share your planet, come together in that harmony of love and understanding. And may your journey in your life that you live be fruitful, productive. And remember, as you come to our side of life, everything that you've learned, all the knowledge that you've gained, all the wisdom that you hold within that consciousness is bloody priceless. Worth them more than any coin of man. It is the coin of spirit. God bless you, my friends. And keep yourselves safe. But remember, our love's always with you.
Thank you, Albert.
Just give us time to bring our friend back.
Yes, I won't let no one unmute their microphones yet until I know Aiden is present.
I hope I can bring him back. Sometimes it goes so far, I can't bloody get hold of him.
You okay, matey?
Yeah, just getting a drink.
Yeah, okay.
I need water. Oh.
You can all start unmuting your microphones now, you lovely people.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So did you all enjoy that, people?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful.
Thank you and your guides.
Amazing.
So as you can see,
Sorry, I had to get the water. Albert just said to me when I went in the kitchen, because I didn't get organised, he says I'm about as much use as a cactus in the Arctic.
I think that went really well. We had some good information there.
It's the first time I've done something like this on Zoom or anything.
Well, I'd say that was quite a success.
Albert's not used to technology. He calls the television the devil's box.
He's not far wrong. So did you enjoy all that information then, peeps?
Yes.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can see the kind of book that's going to come out.